All right, guys, we are back in my garage for another video, and who knew that MHD and xHP would be such a match made in heaven? They are now releasing another feature after their crazy Black Friday combo sale. Everybody that enjoyed that will be able to see this new trans brake and trans bump feature that's coming to a ZF8 near you. Now, this is a huge deal for everybody that's drag racing. I think this is something a lot of people have been asking for, and we've seen teasers for it on different platforms and stuff, but now we're actually seeing a functional one that should be coming in the next couple months. And I know a lot of you guys are excited to see this come down the pipeline. So I'm going to share with you guys exactly how it works, what we can expect, the pros and cons, and just hopefully give you guys a little more insight on what's going to be coming. So let's go ahead and talk about it, and hopefully you guys find this video useful. Now, as always, for everybody that's new to the channel, I create these videos to help keep you updated on the latest developments in our community, as well as discuss technical topics so that we have a better understanding of how our engines work. So if you're interested in more videos like that, be sure to subscribe because there will be a lot more coming out in the future. So first of all, let's talk about what a trans brake is. And this is something that's really useful for drag racers because it allows you to build boost on the line without actually moving your car. So you can stand still and build boost so that you can get an optimized launch. Now, the way that it works is it engages a forward gear as well as reverse at the same time. So that way, while your car is basically building up a load on your converter, you're not actually moving anywhere. The two gears are locking each other out, so the car won't move at all. And it's really nice because if you guys have been launching your cars or doing any drag racing, you know that the BMW launch control leaves a lot to be desired. The fastest cars just use a brake boost, so they hold both the brake and the gas pedal at the same time and hold the brake as much as possible so that they can get their RPMs up and build up some boost, and then release the brake so that you can actually take off. But there are instances where holding the brakes isn't strong enough and the wheels will start to spin a little bit, or you won't be able to get your RPMs as high, and it's just really inconsistent when you're trying to manage both pedals at the same time. So the trans brake takes your left foot basically completely out of the equation. You're no longer relying on your brakes to hold the car steady. Now the transmission is going to mechanically lock the car in place while you're building boost. Now, just to clarify, I know some people said that this is used by locking first and second gear on a ZF8 transmission, not a forward and reverse gear, but just from MHD's explanation of how they're going to be implementing it with xHP, they said they're going to be locking second gear and reverse gear. So that's basically what their strategy is for how it's going to work. And also it will allow you to adjust RPM and use anti-lag. They said that is possible. We'll have to see when it actually comes out, if that's going to be a feature right out of the gate, or maybe something that you can customize with a custom tuner, or, you know, maybe xHP settings. But that's something that's going to be possible with this kind of trans brake setup. Now, along with that, we are also getting a trans bump feature, and this is really useful again for people that are, you know, doing competitive drag racing or anything where you absolutely need to cut the best green light so that you can run your races. This is more than just getting fast quarter mile times. This is actually getting a good clean drag race. The reason why this is useful is because if you're using the trans brake, you can get your RPMs up and get everything set up, but it takes a little while. So it's nice to be able to do all of that after you break the first beam, and then you can slowly bump into the second beam so that all of that is set up and ready to go when you get the green light. So again, this is really useful. It's something that you don't want to have to be trying to figure everything out when you're already staged up and the countdown starts. Now you'll be able to go and get a clean, consistent launch every single time. Now, MHD made a video showing how all this works, and I'm happy to say it is very simple. There are no crazy button presses or anything to turn this on. What you're going to do is basically, with the car in drive, you're going to hold the upshift paddle on the right and then put your foot to the floor. Just floor it, and it's going to engage the trans brake feature. Now, the RPMs are going to go up and boost is going to start to build, but if you want to bump the car forward and use the trans bump feature, you're going to basically tap the downshift paddle on the left. So every time you tap it, the car is going to bump forward a little bit until you get to your staging lanes. And then when the light turns green, you release the right paddle, and then the car is going to take off. So very effective, very simple. I can't wait to try this out one day. Now, while all of that is good and well, I definitely want to make sure we are all on the same page of what this is and what it's not, because it obviously has some great benefits, but we don't want to assume that it's going to do something that it can't do. First thing is, this does not just automatically increase performance. This is not going to give you a faster 60 to 130. This is not going to make your car make more power. This is strictly for launching your car for drag racing. Now, yes, it will make your launch a lot more consistent. It might even make you get a better launch, a little bit better than what you're able to accomplish from brake boosting. But again, it's not just like a default cheat code. It's a feature that helps make your performance and your numbers more consistent. That's really what it's supposed to do. Imagine if every time you shifted your car, you had to yank on a rubber chicken or something, and that's the only way you could shift your gears. This is going to eliminate the extra steps. And now you're not trying to figure out that optimal launch anymore. The car is going to give you the tools you need so that you can get the same performance every time. This is also not limited to high horsepower cars. I saw some people talking about this in the comments, and I would argue that this is more of a use case than a horsepower thing. So if you drag race, this can absolutely give you more consistent performance. If you roll race or race on road courses or autocross or just daily drive your car, it doesn't matter how much power you're making. This isn't going to give you any advantage. So it's less about your setup and more about how you use your car if you want to understand, how much this can benefit you. Also, again, they specified that this is only going to work with second gear and reverse, at least in the way that they're planning on implementing it. So that means you won't be able to launch in first gear, but that really shouldn't be considered a drawback. All the high horsepower cars launch in second. Launching in second is usually faster than launching in first anyway. The only real benefit of first gear is, of course, it's shorter, so you get more torque to the ground. But you still have an extra shift. Also, sometimes first gear is a little bit weak, so you can actually break the transmission launching it in first, and you're going to have a lot less traction issues if you launch your car in second. So launching in second is pretty much the recommendation anyway, and I would say for this kind of application and the people that plan on using it, launching in second is going to be the way you want to go regardless. This also cannot physically increase the RPM that you can launch at. So the way I want to clarify is this isn't going to change the stall on your converter. You might be able to get RPM slightly higher than you can from brake boosting, but there's still going to be a mechanical limitation in your transmission. And if you want to raise the RPM, you need an upgraded stall converter to change that. So that's a mechanical limit in the car where you would need to change hardware in order to increase your RPM. Now you might be able to dial it down a little bit or adjust it within the window of your stock stall, but it's not going to just say, oh, now you can add an extra 1,000 RPM and launch at 5K. That's not something that's going to be a feature just from this software change. And then probably the biggest thing I want to remind people is this is not going to increase the strength of your drivetrain. So if you're already worried about axles or drive shafts or your transmission, this is not going to make it stronger. If anything, this is going to put more strain on your system because you're going to maximize the performance to optimize your launch every single time. And the more that you use it, the more those components are going to be at risk. I would say probably the biggest recommendation from me is to upgrade your drive shaft if you plan on using this. I typically tell people if you're drag racing your car, that's the first thing that you should upgrade anyway, especially if you plan on using a sticky tire on like a prepped surface. It's something that's extremely risky for us F-Series guys. So I highly recommend upgrading your drive shaft just to make sure that it's strong enough to handle the abuse you're going to be putting it through. But also the trans brake is putting more stress on your transmission. You're taking stress off of your brakes, but now you're using a mechanical limitation in the transmission to lock everything down. And that's not really what it was designed to do. So it's not going to automatically break it, but it is going to put more wear on your components, and it's not going to overcome a limitation if you're already at risk of breaking something. And then finally, this is limited to certain BMWs. So I saw some people ask if this is for rear wheel drive or xDrive. It works for both. It works for basically any ZF8 car. But if you have a ZF6, I'm not sure that this is actually going to be implemented for you. So, don't hold your breath. It might be something that's possible, but with the older transmission software, I'm not sure if it's going to be the same. And then also for people with like dual clutch transmissions, this requires a torque converter like a ZF8 transmission. So you're not going to be able to take advantage of this with a dual clutch. So you really need a torque converter automatic like the 8HP50, 8HP51, 8HP76 that's in like M340i's, A90 Supras, the new xDrive G80s, you know, all of those cars will be able to take advantage of this. But if you have like an S55 car or like an older N54 or N55 E-Series chassis, you won't be able to use it. But yeah, so this is still in testing. We'll have to see how this kind of rolls out. They did say it's going to be coming to Gen 2 B58 and S58 platforms first. Then it's probably coming to Gen 1 B58 platforms, and then eventually probably older F-Series N55 platforms with the HP45. We'll just kind of have to wait and see how that comes out. But initially, everything looks good. Really, the only limitations is you need MHD Plus and you need xHP. So if you have MHD, but you don't have MHD Plus, or you have another platform that isn't MHD, you won't be able to pair this with your xHP flash. And if you have some unique limitation to your transmission setup where you can't use xHP, you're not going to be able to pair it with MHD Plus to take advantage of this feature. And this works with a stock DME, stock TCU. You don't need any additional hardware or anything like that. It's just flashing it to the car and enabling the feature. So really excited to see this with how simple it works and how easy it'll be to implement. I'm just waiting to see how this all works out, especially with their testing. I'm curious, you know, from a stock turbo standpoint, seems like it should work pretty fine for most setups. But if you have port injection or a low pressure fuel pump or something and you're building 30 plus PSI on a 6870 turbo, is that going to cause any issues? You know, maybe some of that is what they're working out the bugs for now to make sure all of the safeties and everything are in place so that this works for all of the higher horsepower guys. So of course, I'll update you guys when this officially comes out, but for now we just kind of got the teaser and it's super exciting, so I wanted to share it with you guys. I'll of course have a link to their video in the description of this video as well. But for now, I think that's it for this one. So thank you guys for watching and I hope this helps. And if you have any other questions or comments, leave them down below.